Good morning to you all. My name is Valentino Chiarparin. I'm the Business Development Manager of GSE Italy. I would like first to thank Mr. Mearelli for the invitation and also the IFWLA team for the support in these days. What I would like to express with this presentation is basically one of the main questions that we face every day in our business. This is how much and which are the characteristics of a distribution center which differentiate from a normal deposit in these days, and how much these are a key of development for the main players of the market. First of all, on GSE. GSE is a general contractor company focused on the logistic market, which amounts to 70% of our turnover. We are present in 20 countries, following basically main clients and users, 3PLs in the new markets, of course, and investors and developers which are designing and building new logistic platforms. Here I show on the right side, on the right side I show which are some of the main clients which are not selected by typology. What I would like to say is that few slides of the presentation of Alexandra shown how much the direct investment of end users was compared or concentrated in some ages, in some years, and was followed as well by outsourcing flows in the main market. This was also what we experienced, and is also what driven the expansion of GSE towards new countries. If you want to say which are the main targets of each of these clients, the first thing we have to do is try to segmentate and to try to understand which are the demands of each one. The main one are end users which prefers direct investment sometimes, which have a quite clear and specific idea of the logistics which they want to pursue, and as well which follows many times strategies of internal optimization more than related to the entire supply chain from production companies to the main market. The second one is 3PLs, which at the same time can optimize the supply chain through cross-client operations, which are more interested in positioning their own hubs at the crossroads of the international corridors, which are aiming to maximum layout flexibility more than customized like end users, and several times to light asset strategies to be more flexible to the changing market. On the other side, we have developers and investors, which might be local, international, or might be funds which we know for other reasons. And of course, what they are looking for in the logistic market are different targets, such as durability of the investment, profitability, rentability, and of course accessibility to the site, layout flexibility to host many different players in the future, and of course international standards which might be recognizable all over the world. This segmentation is quite important because we understand quite soon that these two categories are driven by different targets. In the first case are operational drivers. We are back to the dimension of the stocking units, how are moved goods in their supply chain, how are stocked, how are shipped. And the second one is instead the investment opportunities. That means how much and how long my investment will be profitable if I invest for that company or in that area. There are basically two degrees of integration of among these two words, and the last one is basically the target of each one, which is the cost reduction. Cost reduction, which means cost for a pallet stored compared to the rent or the cost of the real estate part on square meter year as a unit. Industrial areas, intermodal terminals, logistics parks, and also standalone distribution centers are the meeting room among which these two operators meet. And the layout of a building is basically the object of transaction many times, which has to mediate among the demands of each one. The international standard like logistic parks, which we saw at the beginning of, at the late 90s, beginning of 2000, were characterized by positioning on main crossroads with a quite important accessibility from the highway, possibility from future extension, but also of multi-site distribution centers which can host a different typology of operation, with wide yards and maneuver range which can allow for trucks circulation. These are characterized by an exploitation of the land of 53%, and was one of the main parameters which determined the initiation of these distribution centers in the main areas. If we want to focus on a few aspects of logistic park, we see that beside the accessibility to the site and also the fencing of each unit, which is very important and which is also a difference between logistic parks and intermodal terminals, are demanded also to isolate potential investments and to have easier transaction in the future. Functions, there are segmentation of the truck cars circulation and parking areas, so that there is no interaction or there is a low interaction among them. There are green areas to protect the stationing trucks, external trucks parks, which doesn't allow to the trucks to enter the distribution centers during the night or when they are waiting for being received. And circulation infrastructure, that means positioning of all the infrastructures, tanks, sprinkler tanks, pumps, or the M&E part at the center of the development. Two-way circulation on the internal distribution and one-way on the single distribution circulation. And if you want to take a look to the layout on a big logistic park, there are different typology of operational which could be accommodated. The first one, the yellow one, reflects big storing capacity and operators which are looking for a quite common operational flow in and out from the same side. This might allow at the same time to operate with a preparation of areas under the mezzanine and to store fast movers goods on the front and slow movers on the backward. While on the light blue distribution center we see that there is a shorter deepness of the building with a cross-dock operation. This made suit also for plots which has a narrow aisle which is very big. And so if we think that more than 130 meters of deepness of distribution center are not suitable or not flexible for activities, a cross-dock operation can also suit for plots which have different proportion. This is the logistic park built. What we can see is that there are also different, each building reflects a different area, a different also age of implantation. The first one on the top was a speculative development, which was characterized also by a high vacancy duration, and the other one on the below, on the right side, was instead a build-to-suit operation, which was accommodated on the plot already zoned, but at the same time didn't start unless the end user demand was clearly identified. Following to this, what was interesting to understand in these days is which are the drivers for the second step of optimization and of integration among the different parts of the logistic chain. I would like to show just this insight on the cost of the logistic, on the total logistic cost, which entitles of the cost of warehousing among 50 to 62%. But if you want to split it in labor cost of the warehouse, which might be rent, maintenance, information and technology, and taxes and others, we see that the warehouse represents something like the 20–25% in the non-food markets of the warehouse of the global logistic cost, whilst the other major part is represented by the labor, 30% of the global logistic cost. These are the two main figures which build the total logistic cost, and are also, if we see the common trends, the axis along with the main operators are looking for more efficiency. The first one is the first tool which is used is merging logistic and parcel activities. Many times the compressed lead times in markets like e-commerce, like fashion, several times also like automotive, obviously asks for really compressed also handling times. For this reason, to join the logistic activities, storing units, storing pallets, together with preparation activities, are merged into a unique building with a different degree of automation, which can respond easily to these demands, and at the same time can also, on the real estate part, be more effective on the land exploitation. If we see this building, which represents a H-shape design, we see that the central part, which are around 8,000 square meters, the average size of a cross-dock building for freight forwarders, is associated with two areas, normal logistic distribution centers of nearly 37 square meters on each side.